Well, I have waited for an awful long time to spend some time with these dudes.
We're dudes.
We're dudes. And they are cool dudes too. Let me tell you, Jerry Gross and Mark Stevens, the Dovells. Now, there's so much where to even begin with your commitment to the music, also your commitment to having fun, and the fact, first of all, you guys never really stopped being out there. You're still doing your thing the way you've always done your thing.
Yep.
So for those who haven't seen your thing, explain your thing, would you please?
We've been working in the circus.
Mark is he trains the elephants. After our hit records stopped, back then you were only as big as your last hit record. So what we did is we went into the nightclub circuit, and it kept us alive. We're one of the few acts that I even know of, other than the Beach Boys and Frankie Valli, that have never stopped working since day one, since Bristol Stomp hit. And we made a name for ourselves in Vegas. We were doing Vegas 12 months of the year in the 70s. Then the rock and roll revival tours. The music was bigger then than it was when we had the hits. And it was a great time. We had a great time. Our best time, which is in a book that we're writing right now, was Down South in 1962 with James Brown.
Wow.
That story in itself is out there. But yeah, we've had some great times. And what we do is, good, what do we do?
Well, what we do is we rob 7-Elevens.
No, that's enough. we do our hits. We take you back on a musical journey through time. Yes. We take the people back to that generation in a great era of the late 50s, early 60s. And it was a great time. What did we have to worry about back then?
Right.
Duck and cover, the atom bomb's coming, like it's going to protect you.
I bet you mastered that, didn't you?
I absolutely did. I set the whole thing up.
First one under the desk. Duck and cover, we'll be safe.
But I tell you one thing we did do, is to stay pure, and I'm really glad that all of these shows that you do are pure to the music and the whole purpose of that whole era, is that at one time when we decided that we were going to go to Vegas and become a Vegas type of an act, because we thought that the longevity would be there forever for us, and it was in a sense. We got off a little bit of the oldies feel and started to do some other stuff with it, and then we came back, and when we came back, we found ourselves, our audience started to grow even more, because that's what they come to see. Our audiences and any audience of the acts of the 50s and 60s come pre-sold to what's going to happen. Don't take them out of that.
So we do that with the music, but we also do a lot of shtick. We do comedy, and we're pretty.
Take my wife, please.
Please.
We did a show about a year ago at an amphitheater in Jersey, and it was a concrete stage. And when we started doing the Bristol Stomp, I stopped the band, and I went, all these years, I thought it was karate, I thought it was skydiving, I thought it was skiing. It was this dance. And it did, from all that, because you don't realize, when you start on stage, man, the energy just comes through, and you're just pounding. Hello.
Well, that's an interesting part of it that I'm always interested in, is the kind of the spiritual side of it, which is, exactly what you can kind of let all those emotions out of you. And I'm not just talking about hormones and teenage angst and all the other stuff, but just the pure energy that comes out of people being together and sharing in some great experience and all moving and grooving to the same way,
People will say to us, you've been doing this for so long, is it still fun? Is it still, when the light goes on, a performer will tell you this, when the light goes on and your feet hit the boards and the energy of what those people came to see merge and marry up to the energy that you're about to put out, it's like an explosion. It's really a fantastic...
Yeah, because that's what I see in my mind's eye as you're describing the experience. I see kind of a gymnasium floor somewhere and Catholic school dance or something.
Well, when those kids got together to do the Stomp, when that first happened, that's what we worked.
Yeah.
And a lot of gyms and dance halls. And when you have 1,000 or 2,000 kids doing a Stomp, that place sounds like it's coming down.
Well, back then they used to have record hops, which is really how the Bristol Stomp really came about, through one of those kinds of nights at a dance. But these guys would get 1,000 teenagers in a building, in a fire hall or whatever, and I love you too. And can we just be alone?
Well, if you're going to talk about it, how it started, the dance actually started before we recorded the record. It was, it was the students' record every day of the week.
Every day of the week, first year.
And it started at the Goodwill Fire Hall in Bristol, Pennsylvania, and the Edgley Fire Hall. And we were recording out in the cold again. And in walks a promotion man named Billy Harper.
Frankie Lyman song, Out in the Cold again?
Yeah. That was the original side of the Bristol Stomp.
Okay.
The song that you sang so sweetly. Yeah. So if you have that original record, I just found out from a record collector in Philly, it's worth $75. So, because then they pulled it off and they put Letters of Love on so they can, collect the writer's royalties. So anyway, we were out in the cold again. He walks in, he puts on, he says, new dance, they're doing it in Bristol at the Goodwill Fire Hall, puts on the students' record, ding, 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 say almost the same thing.
Yeah.
We finished Out in the Cold again. They said, you come back in a couple of days. Come back in a couple of days. It was written, the Goodwill Stomp. And we went, they changed it to the Bristol Stomp. That was it. Record came out that summer. We ran around doing all sorts of record hops. It was a hit in Philly, but it didn't happen until it got to the Chicago, the Midwest. And it exploded. I think it was WDRC. No, it's Hartford. WLS. That sounds like Chicago. Anyway, one of the stations from Chicago, we're playing it. They got a big order, and Burning Gun called me, said, you have a hit record. Get the guys together. You're on Bandstand tomorrow. I went, okay. Got the guys together, went to Bandstand. That was it. We had Wildwood Days, was originally going to be our hit. Got to Detroit. Detroit flipped it, played You Can't Sit Down. That became the hit. Pulled it off of our, and gave it to Rydell. And Bobby had the big hit with that, and we had You Can't Sit Down.
How about that? Yeah, it's funny. You said you were there at the very beginning of that label. Because when I think of that label, and it's just the greatest dance, people always talk about the sound of Philadelphia, and they're referring to the Gamble and Huff period, which, no denying. Love all that stuff.
There was before.
But the before, to
Charlie
me...
Gracie.
Well...
Charlie Gracie.
Lee Andrews and the Hearts.
Yes.
And,
Yes, but Charlie Gracie, we were just together at Dave Apple, who wrote a lot of our hits and produced them, his birthday party, and Rydell and I were talking, and Bobby said, and Charlie Gracie was there, and Charlie got up and he said something that I never realized. He said, if it wasn't for me, God bless you, Charlie, if it wasn't for me, there would be no Cameo Parkway. He tells a story how Burning O had to borrow so much money to keep the label going, and out comes Butterfly, bam, that became a monster hit, and that was the beginning of Cameo Parkway. I think that was 57 or 58. And that started.
And then comes Andy Williams, which throws a whole
right,
a whole monkey wrench.
Well, Pat Boone did it.
But then came Chubby. Chubby had the twist, and the label was flying from that point. And then we auditioned. They loved us, and we started there in 1960, and with No No No, and then 61 Bristol Stomp, and 5 6.
Great dance record. No No No.
Oh, great! Great vocals. I love the whole song. In 62. James saw us at the Apollo in New York, and he said, and only James Brown, hey, only about showing that.
What did he say?
But he wanted us to go on tour with him, and we did. We went on tour with him for 2 weeks. It started in Atlanta, Georgia. Whole story into itself.
Wow.
We didn't know about segregation. I didn't even think about it, where we came from. Got down there, whole new world. But it worked. 2 weeks. It'll be in the book. I'll tell you the whole story.
Yeah, it's funny, though, because Joe Terry from Danny the Juniors and Frank, they were here earlier as well, and they told exactly the same story about just being awoken to what went on in the South. And guys like us, I grew up in New Jersey, different time maybe, same place, same feeling.
But you don't realize it.
We never had that.
No.
It was never any kind of separation. Like
That's right. My father had a grocery store in a half black, half Irish, and Italian neighborhood.
I mean, there were neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
There were neighborhoods in certain neighborhoods, certain areas.
So what?
But nothing where people were like, you didn't cross one into the other.
No.
Although I have heard, true story or not, that in Philadelphia, in particular, if you were in a certain neighborhood, a certain parish, let's say, generally you didn't cross those sections. You stayed, which is how a lot of the DJs got the territories.
Oh, South Philly, probably.
South Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a quick funny story about being down south. We get off the plane, we walk out of the airport, and there's a big red checker cab sitting across the island. And there was 4 of us at the time. And Lenny, who you had on your show, Lenny looks across and he goes, yo, cabbie, man. And the guy looks over and puts his head down. Black guy in a red checkered cab, big red checkered cab. And we were walking over. Lenny says to the guy, now you know Len.
Yeah.
Len in his head, thought he was a brother.
Yeah.
And he says to the guy, he goes, hey man, don't you speak North? and the guy and the cab driver looks and goes, "Yeah, I speak North, boys. Where you from?" I went, "Philadelphia." He goes, "Well, I know that ain't Mississippi." I went, "No, Pennsylvania." He says, "Well, I can't take you." He said, "This is a colored cab."
Jesus Christ.
And he goes, "We don't care what color the cab is, man. We got to get to the Sheraton." Hysterical laughing. But the guy wouldn't. He said, "You got to go walk through the airport." We walked through the airport, and the three of us had to walk really fast because what was coming out of his mouth, and we're lucky we're alive today. But that was just the beginning. That's this much of what we learned on that tour.
But you did cross over all those lines. I mean, through your hits. That's the amazing thing is there was I can't imagine there was I know there was a color line, but for most of America, you think of America as a whole, you burst through that, right through that, I think.
Yeah, we did. Well, that's because when we first came out,
it was black.
They thought we were an R&B group, black group. We went to when we showed up at the Uptown Theater in Philadelphia. We walked into the stage entrance. The guy goes, "What do you want?" I said, "We're the Dovells." He goes, "Oh man, your agent done screwed up."
Wow.
I went, "Really?" But we went out, did our show, and the audience mumbled a little bit till we got into our thing and started. We had our gold lame suits and we did our routines and a couple knee drops and.
They should bring gold LeMay, but really, LeMay needs to come back. I can't.
Yeah. Well, where's the gold LeMay is Bruno Mars.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the hottest acts out there today.
Absolutely. So we just want to mention one thing. We love all of our fans, and we love all of our new fans by way of this gentleman here. And if you go up to the Dovells Facebook page, come on over and see what we're doing and check out some of the shows that we're doing. Dovells, the official Dovells Facebook page. We also have a website, dovells.com, and I also have a mortgage.
All right.
Wait a minute. I'm asking to sell a couple of things.
So let's talk for a moment about. I want to go back just for a second because when my first personal introduction to a Cameo Parkway record would have been "Dancing Party" by Tubby Checker. And especially at the end of that record where he says, "Where's the Orleans? The Dovells here. Everybody here." And you got this feeling, this sense of what was going on at that scene at that time. As much as I love you guys, and I always go for the Dovells probably first because of those great records like Bristol Twist and Annie and all those
Holly Golly,
and Continental,
the Short Fat Fanny was in there somewhere.
Yeah, that was there.
Yeah, it was in there.
Betty Bermuda.
Yeah, she was in there. Hey, man! You can't sit down, all that stuff. So you think about all those, but the Orleans. What was it like to just South Street? To be there as this thing is breaking.
They were all friends of ours.
Yeah, we went to school together.
We all went to school
Steve
together.
Caldwell, all went to school together.
We got them their audition at Cameo Parkway.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they came and I don't know if Steve tells that same story, if he remembers it. That's what happened. And they came in, they signed them right away. They were great.
That sound, there's nothing like that sound. To this day, I don't think anyone's duplicated that sound of that studio, what you guys were doing there, those drums, the way those drums came across,
the Bristol Stomp does not have a bass in it.
I do know that.
So we're doing a new CD, and Bob Freed, who's our band leader and owns the studio, said, "If you really want to do this, we should take the bass out." I said, "We're not taking the bass out. It's 2014. Leave the bass in." But there was it was guitar, drums, and maracas. That was it.
Yeah, as we saw in the film, the maracas guy. That was really important.
So it just doesn't take a lot to make a hit record if you've got all the right elements, and you don't even need that many elements. But when we talk about the music of the East Coast and you talk about the music of the West Coast, the analogy that I always use is the music from the East Coast was much more soulful. It was live. It was happening right there. The music on the West Coast was wonderful, but it was more Brian Wilson and Beach Boys are a prime example of how that production was built like Phil Spector would have built it on the East Coast, but on the West Coast it was so perfect. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
First gig we do on the West Coast, we're at the Hollywood Bowl, and we used to dance our butts off. But you know that. You were talking about that. And we used to dance, and our vocals were okay. They were good, but not like the Beach Boys. And we go on, and they go on. We're between shows, where Brian Wilson comes over, he goes, "Jerry, Brian Wilson." I went, "Brian, I love you guys." I said, "Your harmony, the way you sound, you're great." He said, "I love you guys on stage." He said, "The energy." He said, "The dancing." I said, "Thank you." He said, "I'll make a deal with you." He says, "You teach us how to dance, I'll teach you how to sing." Wow. I went, Thank you. What do you mean by that?
What was it like to be in Philadelphia? Because, you know, to me, there's something magical about Philadelphia. Now, I'm a Jersey guy, so, you know, you wear that on your shoulders. You can't knock this battery off my shoulder.
That's right.
Especially, you know, the Jersey under 5'9"
Sure.
club. You know, we have our own
Right.
proudness and our own thing,
Yeah.
right? You know, hustler kind of, I'm going to,
Sure.
you know, bust out of everything and show you because we're better than New York because we're New Jersey.
Well, you got Syl on your side.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true, we do. And he's now in Finland or something, you know?
Well, you want to know how proud we are of being from Philadelphia. If you have come to see a Dovells show for the last umpteen years, a lot of years, we'll come out, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Gross and Mark Stevens, the Dovells. We'll do an opening number, then we'll say hello, and the first thing out of my mouth, always, and I don't care what town we're in, we are the Dovells, and I have to back off the mic to say this because I have a booming voice. We are the Dovells from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I always make that a point because we're very proud of being from Philly.
Well, that's what I mean, though. When you know, as proud as I am of being from Asbury Park, Bradley Beach, that whole area, next to it, a little place, which probably a nice Jewish boy shouldn't have been from, called Ocean Grove, which
sure.
we called home of the newlywed, nearly dead for many years. Owned by the Methodist Camp Meeting Association, which is funny because I'm a quarter Methodist, 3/4 nice Jewish boy. And so it was an interesting place to be from. And when I heard that Philadelphia sound for the first time, man, I said, this is it. This is where it's at. A little later on, long story short, taking my bride for the first time as we're together, and now we're going to live our life together. This is 20 years ago to the day, in fact. I said, well, if we're going to get married, then I'm going to have to see if you can, you know, make it on the Philly dance floor. She said, what are you talking about? I said, listen, we're going up. I don't know where it's going to be, if it's going to be out on the pier, you know, but it looks like tonight it's an off night for the Geeter, it's an off night for High Lit, it's an off night for Harvey Holiday, so we're going to go see Charlie Bennett at Michael's on Street Road. And if we can keep up, then I truly know this has been meant to be. You go there, and all of a sudden they're playing all this new young music, you know, and then out of nowhere, boom, You Can't Sit Down comes on. And like everyone comes together. There's not even a spoken part about this.
Right.
Followed by the Tramps doing Hold Back Tonight, where suddenly all the men are on the right and all the women are, you know, on the left.
Like it was called for.
As if it was called for, and I'm looking for a chair dance all of a sudden.
Right.
You know what's going on right. Hold Back Tonight comes on, followed by, you know, Mickey's Monkey and a Crossfire with Martha and the Vandellas, a Heat Wave and all that sort of stuff.
Philly loves their music.
And you say, man, I'm home. But there is something about, I think it's that, I don't know if it's that probably the kick drum or something. There's something between the way those cymbals sound and maybe the way those maracas were on that record, but it tells you, I'm home, I'm here. This is my soul.
Yeah.
This is what I was meant, I'm alive now. And that's what so many people share with your music. You know?
I love the fact that you have that, to meet someone your age that has that soul.
And here's the footnote to this.
Phenomenal.
Here's the footnote to what you just said. The footnote is that the disc jockeys of that day literally spoon-fed you the right things with the right energy, the way that they fed it to you, and you got absorbed into you, and it became part of your life. We're talking about our favorite songs. I got to throw in my favorite song.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was my favorite song until we started to do it as an opening number. Became one of my favorite songs, which was a 1957 hit for the Drifters called When Fools Fall in Love, When They're Hungry, When Fools Fall in Love Much Too Soon. Okay, I mean, it's
Clyde McFadden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious, that's just, woo, it kills me.
I love that
song
tune.
Kills me.
I love that. Early Drifters, I mean, you're talking. You know,
Yeah.
there you're talking.
And
about,
there's a group that are the first ones to use strings in their production.
Although
Starting
we got to
back
be
in the
careful when they
50s.
say that in this neighborhood, you know, because in this neighborhood where we're at now,
Skyliners?
Yeah, Skyliners the ones who take the credit for that. So no one really knows for sure. It depends on the recording date.
Drifters went back. With Jimmy Beaumont, we love you to death. I love those. But you're talking 1956, 57 for the Drifters.
Yeah. But Beaumont, Jimmy Beaumont, he's up there. There's a group of people that are just super voices of that era.
Back in the old days in the 60s, nightclub owners they would call an agent, you know, and they would say, who you got available for the 15th and the 13th and the 18th, or what is it? And they would go, let's start with the Angels. They would start with A. There would be Dovells, Dupree's, Danny and the Juniors, Joey D.
And so they'd stop with the D's. So
and we would all work, and we were all working.
That's great. You know, because, man, some of those records, oh, my God, Love Eyes, as you wanted, it's heaven to me. The flip side of Have You Heard? You know, oh, my, what they used to call a high-lit forgotten hit.
Right.
And that was the coolest thing, going back to the DJs. That was the coolest thing on earth. Or Georgie Woods, the man with the goods, or Jocko, you know, which, of course, is...
My mother hired,
Your mother hired your mother?
Peace. My mother hired High Lit to be a disc jockey at a synagogue dance when I was 12.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that because it was probably one of my first, experiences with a disc jockey playing the kind of music that was like, what? You know. And then I went to camp that we actually sang at when we were like 16 or 17. Stony Clove in Hunter, New York. And I was exposed at that time to New York.
Yeah,
rock and roll,
which is very different.
It's very, very different. And here I was getting molded. I was absolutely musically getting molded.
I do want to get the point across, though, that you're still making records, you're still recording, you're still entertaining. Because I think of you guys, I'm going to say this in the right way so it doesn't sound...
Yeah, well, take your time.
Yeah, really. No, you guys are more than singers. To me, you're entertainers, and there's a big difference.
That's what's kept us alive in the business. Exactly right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are, and that's what we do. We entertain an audience, and when we see an audience is going towards a certain way, we'll go that way. If we have to add some country songs, we'll add it. And that's kept us alive and in the business all these years.
Wow.
But now we're doing hardcore.
I can't wait for the Dovells version of Need You, or what would be a good song for you guys? I mean, like maybe Please Help Me, I'm Falling. I can see that coming to the act.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'll get you hit yet.
I'll tell you what.
I live in Texas. I sing that stuff all the time. I'm exhausted.
We're doing a new CD right now. Just send me or tell me a couple of tunes you want us to do. We'll record it.
It wouldn't be Hank Lachlan. I'm done. I'm joking there.
No, tell me what you want. What's your favorite tune? We'll cut it.
Yeah, we got to think about this.
We'll cut it. Dedicate it to you.
Got to be the right thing.
Classic.
Got to be the right thing.
Well, send it to you. You'll tell us what you want to do, or you'll come to the studio.
Yeah, I have to think. I'm a big klezmer fan.
All right.
The Dovells sing klezmer. Now, can't you see?
Listen, we need 3 more for a minion.
There's a moil over there. No.
Put that knife down.
Well, you man, when I see you in the film, Jerry, and I see this smiling face, didn't look, may have been 100 takes later, but it looked like you were just so into it and so happy to be there, and also helping to keep the other guys in step from what I saw, you know.
It was 2 takes. They didn't care that much. It was a low-budget film. We all had a great time. We had fun.
Yeah.
We liked each other, and we really had fun.
Yeah.
And what's there not to like? At 19, being in Hollywood on a movie set, it was a dream.
Yeah.
You know.
That swagger too. You know, I think about. You know, the great lead singer who was with you at that time, you know, and his, you know, Len had this great swagger to him that was, you know, so confident.
Right.
But the step that you had, you know, just not just the excitement, not just the sharpness, not just being on it, but you know, kind of the energy that, especially when you think of the audience that was in that film, you know, you know, goes back to
hello.
Yeah, I'm thinking like
I
Kate
feel
Smith
choreography coming on.
Right. It was Kate Smith cloned.
Kate Smith clone.
Had the whole audience.
But the energy that came out of what you guys were doing, I mean, like just so into it. That's just so special, you know, and the fact that spirit is still in the heart of all these folks you entertain to, I just think means the world. So you really do need to be thanked for that. I really do.
And we are, and thanks for recognizing it.
Yeah, and thank you for doing what you've done all these years,
and
all
thanks
these
for
decades. All these decades. I mean, this man has you helped keep this music right in the forefront. And a lot of people, like I just told you, we did this one show, and they had 8 dancers or 10 dancers come out. It's on YouTube. It's on our Facebook page.
Show we just did last week.
And the sound's a little distorted. One of the speakers was blown, but the girls said to me that they were in high school, and she says to me, "I love this. Thank you for letting us learn this thing. We love your music." It was like, wow, it's mind-boggling. Here's a 15 or 16-year-old girl,
and they learned it from
Handstand Bonnie.
Bristol Stompin' Bonnie.
Bristol Stompin' Bonnie.
She's going to love that we mentioned this because she's a wonderful fan club president, and she also took on Larry Chance. She's also doing Larry Chance and Heroes also. And they looked at a piece of video of her, and they learned it from her. So thanks, Bonnie, for teaching them how to do it.
Yeah, we'll do some shout-outs for
Okay,
Bristol Stompin'
and thank you for everything that you've done again.
Look, I'm honored. I just, all things happen in life at the right time. That sounds like a line, but it's as sincere as I could possibly be.
Well, I kind of believe that. I'm a fatalist, and I believe that.
I just, when I think about what this must have meant to you, did you have a sense of, at the time as you were building these things? I mean, everyone says, oh, did you know what you were into? It was going to be so big. I don't know that I ever knew that, and things I've been involved with. What I knew was I had a sense that I was involved in something that was bigger than myself, maybe, right? That's saying a lot for guys whose ego is like bigger than the room. But I had a sense I was involved with something. Did you ever have that sense when you were going through it, or were you just a kid having a good time?
I don't think that we knew at the time that this was going to be what we were going to do for 50 years. But I'll tell you this, Jerry and I were extremely lucky to have mothers who were absolutely right behind us. We could cut school and they would give us the car to go rehearse. That they were so behind us. And when we were really young, my father was our manager, and he would buy us these uniforms and take us to record hops and everything. But Jerry is the one that taught me how to sing harmony. I didn't even know I could sing. I could make you laugh. I have a personality. I didn't know I could sing, and let alone learn harmony. And Jerry's the one that taught all of us how. I don't even know where he got it.
Johnny Gonzalez, the Cashmere's.
Taught us all harmony, and that's how we,
Black guy in high school.
Wow. That's how we started singing. Jerry would give us the parts, and then before you know it, in my mom and dad's living room, we'd be doing, when fools fall.
That's because it's living room, because they had marble floors and the echo was fabulous.
Yeah, I came from money. I'm sorry.
He was a rich kid.
Can you imagine the marble must have been...
We had to clean it.
Oh, we had to clean it after. We scuffed the whole thing.
Is that right?
His mother would come in and hand us
columns. You want to talk about columns?
You want to talk about doing splits with black on your heels and doing splits. You know
the old rubber legs thing. Yeah, you don't see that much anymore.
You know how to sing harmony?
That wasn't nice.
Wow. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys, and we want to make sure people know about what's going on. That you're still out there, you're still making people laugh, you're still, bringing the great connector, which is music and song, which ultimately brings us all together. And it's a blessing. So
thanks for having us.
Thank you, and thank you for doing this, and thank you for keeping this music alive. And it's a pleasure being here. Really enjoyed this, TJ.
Thank you. TJ Lubinsky here, the creator and executive producer of our My Music series. I want to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show, the musical memories, 50s and 60s party songs. I still got to say the Miracles are number one, always be number one to me. I'm at lum-de-lum-de-lie, and all the great moments we shared tonight. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Wanted to tell you very quickly about a way we can connect directly. It's through my new Facebook pages, TJ Lubinsky Facebook. Next time you're online, come to the site and you'll see some rare interviews, you'll see rare archival footage, things that we don't broadcast on television, only available to my Facebook friends, free of charge. So it's a great way to connect directly, you and I. Tell me your thoughts about the show and what you'd like to see us do that maybe we haven't done yet, and things that we've enjoyed from the past, great memories, how you've experienced the music, where you were the first time you heard the songs. It's all about connecting through these songs that say things and will kind of bring us together in ways that nothing else in the world can do. So join me, please, on our all-new Facebook page, TJ Lubinsky Facebook. A great way to connect, and I certainly hope you enjoyed the broadcast.